In this video, I'm going to explain to you how to make money without spending money by printing your own money. Alright guys, I'm making this video now between Christmas and New Year's. And when New Year's comes up, New Year's resolutions come up, aside from getting in shape or quitting smoking, one of the most common New Year's resolutions is to get your finances in order. So I'm going to go ahead and help you with one of the biggest problems with getting your finances in order, and that is, how to make money without money. Everybody else is like talking, well, I'd like to invest in this, this, and this, but I can't because you have to have money to make money. Well, I'm going to show you how to do it without any of your own money. And what I came down is, like, the idea I came up with was when I was running MMA events in Germany. Okay, I did a couple of events, and then one thing that I decided to do as a way to sell a lot of tickets was, people who are involved, whether they're fighters or trainers or managers or, just people that own gyms and stuff like that. I would go over and I'd give them a bunch of tickets in advance. They'd sign for them. And I'd be like, listen, I'm going to give it to you for, 20% less than, what you could sell them for, what they're worth. So if they want to give them to their students and everybody gets 20% off and he wants to be a nice guy, he can, I don't care. And, if, he wants to go ahead and sell them, make a 20% profit, he can do that too. I really don't care. Because I'm getting 80% of the value of the tickets anyway without putting any work in. And one of the first times I did this, I gave a guy, he owned, actually it was a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu representative for Germany. Yeah, I gave it to him, and, he's standing there with like 100 tickets I gave him, and he's like, they were 25 euros a piece in advance, okay? And he stood there, and he's like, I'm holding, 2,500 euros in my hand right here. And like everybody it's not like that much money, but considering it was like a couple stacks of playing cards, basically, the size of the paper he had in his hands. And everybody was like, shocked for me. Like, wow, that is, that's true. It's just pieces of paper, but it's worth 2,500 euros. And what I realized after that, because I thought about it, I was like, this is kind of awesome. What I realized is I had printed my own money. Okay. I remember one time I had a delivery. It was a few times later. I had a delivery for, a bunch of tickets. Once again, I had 1,000, just standard tickets, not numbered seats, but general admission. And, if I gave them to people for, 80% and they were giving a 20% commission, it was worth $20 a ticket. And at the door, it was worth 35 euros a ticket. So now you're talking about this box of 1,000 tickets that didn't show up because there was a problem with the, the postage. It was worth between 20 and 35,000 euros. And it was weird when I was making the call because I'm calling up the people that were supposed to deliver it. I'm like, where's my package? And I need it, in this time. And, they're like, how much is it worth? I'm like, it's worth between 20 and 35,000 euros. And it was. And it was just a bunch of paper. And, once again, like I said, when I was ordering tickets, I remember I had a girlfriend over at the time for one of my events. And I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and print some money. And she kind of laughed. And what I basically did is I opened up a graphics program, designed the tickets, time, date, whatever, uploaded it, and I ordered the tickets. It cost maybe $150 for 1,000 general admission tickets. But like I said, I basically printed money. Now, I know a lot of people are going to think about this like, oh, well, that's something you can do, and but you can't do it unless you're running an event. Well, that's not true, because I remember, for instance, years ago, I'm in America now. I lived in Germany for a long time. One of the times when I was thinking about going back, I just happened to speak to my uncle for the first time in a really long time, and he loved to fish. The guy loved to fish. He had a boat. He loved to go fishing. And I don't know why he was working a normal job. I'm like, if it was me, I'd just go back to, like, let's say I went back to America that day. I would have just gone around, and like, let's say I get a piece of toilet paper, write $500 on it, and I give it to a guy. Like, here, give me $500. I'll give you this piece of paper with, toilet paper with $500 written on it. And it's like, who the hell is going to buy a piece of paper, piece of toilet paper for $500? Well, listen to this. If you give this piece of toilet paper to my uncle, he'll take you out for a day on his boat. You get beer to drink, food to eat, and you could go fishing all day. He's a really good fisherman. He's a really good boatsman. So he knows what to do. You're going to have a blast, and that's what you're basically selling. Like, I could print my own money. by doing that. Now, of course, I came years and years and years later. My uncle, he sold his boat. He just rents a boat when he wants to go out, and, he's retired and doesn't work anymore. But like I said, I could very easily have done that. I mean, it's just the same thing. Like, let's say, you're talking to a person and he's like, well, yeah, I can't, I hate to clean my house and whatever, and da-da-da-da-da, I have barely any time as it is. How much does, how much do you even earn an hour? Well, I earn a lot because I'm a doctor, lawyer, or whatever. Really, that's cool. How much does marriage counseling cost? How much does marriage counseling cost an hour? Basically, it's like, how much money is this guy, spending, so to speak, by cleaning his own toilet? Well, hey, give me, half of that, and I'll have somebody come by and clean your toilet for you. You could go out with your wife and have dinner, go out with your wife all day, do whatever, and have fun, or you could just sleep late, or whatever the hell you want to do. Then you go ahead, you take his money, you give it to somebody else, who's unemployed or on welfare, and like, here, I'll give you, half of what he's giving you. I'll give you so much money just to clean this guy's house for an hour. It's like, really? Yeah. And like I said, it's like, it sounds kind of crazy. It's like, but the fact of the matter is, you can literally print your own money, because the thing is, nothing in the world exists. There is no such thing as like money. Money basically means, if you give somebody this piece of paper or this, piece of metal or whatever, he's going to give you something worth more to you than, the financial amount. And that's all that it really is. All you do is add value. And if you add value, you can basically write your own ticket in life. I mean, like I said, it's like, I'd love to go out on a boat, and I got money to spend, but I've never been on a boat. I've never been fishing. I have no idea. I'm not even from Florida or the Bahamas or whatever. Like I said, if you basically just hook this guy up, it's like, hey, talk to him and he'll take you out in his boat, and you get more money from him than you give to the guy who owns the boat. You've made money by doing nothing. You've printed money. You've created value. Okay? It's the same thing. Like, I'm in real estate right now. I walk through, a house and it's all jacked up, and, I just live in a different world than everybody else. I could look at a house and it's all screwed up, and I'm like, this is a beautiful house. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? There's this over here, this over here. It's old. Look at the way it's decorated. This is falling apart. This is falling apart. But I see the house like, it costs X number of dollars. I'm sure I could get it for X minus, a lot of money. You could talk a guy down. And then you just put a little bit of money in to fix it. I don't know the first thing. I cannot hammer a nail into a wall to hang up a picture. I cannot paint a house. But I'll tell you one thing. I could take some money and be like, here, you paint this house, you fix the floor, and you fix the wall. And then the amount of money that I spent on the house, the amount of money I paid somebody else to fix it, is nothing compared to the amount of money I could sell it for. And what have you done? Like, why is it that, somebody's not going to sell a house for less than it's worth? Yes, they are, because they don't have the vision. Well, somebody's not going to, paint a house for, $100, and you could sell it for $10,000 more because it's been painted. Yeah, because they don't have the vision. Okay? They don't see the same things you see. Well, why doesn't your uncle go ahead? Like I said, I never ended up doing this, but why doesn't your uncle go ahead and, and just rent out the boat himself? He doesn't have the vision. He hasn't done it. But if you were to run over to a guy who owns a boat and likes to fish and be like, hey, if I sent you somebody, would you take him out for $350 a day per person? You know what I'm saying? And he wouldn't give a fuck if you're charging, $500 per person. You're making $150 just to send people over to have him do all the work, because he's making $350 per person per day that you're not making. He wouldn't make without you, rather. And it's the same thing. Like, well, how come, the fighters that do MMA don't just go ahead and run their own event and make all the money? Why are they just getting paid by you? Well, they're not. Mayweather promotes his own events and fights in his own events and advertises his own events and runs his own events, but Mayweather's a goddamn unicorn. Mayweather's like the only one. Did Mike Tyson do that? No. But what does Mike Tyson need, Don King for? He needs Don King because Mike Tyson didn't promote shit. Don King made everything possible. Talk about him, talk as bad as you want. Believe me, there's a lot of bad things to say about Don King, but Mike Tyson would still be, off in some gym in the middle of nowhere if it wasn't for Don King promoting him. So the middleman is a very important person. And like I said, the middleman doesn't have to do anything, doesn't have to be anything, doesn't have to know anything. All the middleman really has to do is get the people who want things and the people who create things together and just skim a little bit of money off of the top when money goes from one hand into the other. And if you say, well, what do I need you for? You know, I could sell my own product or service, or I could go ahead and get somebody to do this. Well, why don't you? You know, if the spectators, you know, are so keen on getting MMA fighters to fight themselves, why don't they put out the money for the hall, put out the money for the advertising, and promote their own fights? Oh, because it's a lot easier to spend $50 or $100 or $500 on a ticket to watch an event than it is to put thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars at risk to run your own event. You know, why does a house painter, you know, get paid a few $100s or a few $1,000s to, you know, to fix up a house that's going to be flipped for tens of thousands of dollars more than it was bought for? Because they're not going to. You know, it's a lot easier just to show up and you know you're going to get paid to paint the house. You don't have to worry about selling the house. You don't have to worry about buying the house. There's no financial risk. You're going to get paid whether or not, you know, whether or not the house sells. So that's why it's easier to be a house painter. You know, why is it easier to sell a house that's a piece of shit than to fix it up and get it done? Because, you know, if you own the house, you sell the house, you get at least some money from it, you know, and, you know, whatever happens, happens. Whereas if the guy who owns a house that's a piece of shit, he hasn't been able to sell it in years and years and years, were to go ahead and invest even more money in, oh my God, that's a major risk. So like I said, if you have a vision and if you have the balls to go ahead and enact your vision, you know, if you have the vision and you're like, you know, I see potential here, you can get something from somebody who doesn't know the value of what he has and go to somebody who knows the value and is willing to pay for it, but is scared to do it himself. You just make things possible, and you know, you could really write your own ticket in life, print your own money, and make your own fortune without having to do anything or having to invest any money, because you are the person who is just going to make things happen.